Welcome, everybody, to the Nerd for No Reason podcast with Mark and Raven. Today, on the Nerd for No Reason podcast, we are going to be talking about Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Let's get this party started, people!
Man, listen, let me tell you something. I have been on fire lately. I don't know what type of weird energy has hit me, but because, I play drums for the church or whatever from time to time. Wednesday, I was practicing and I was all over the place. Like, I was just like, oh, man, you know what? Let's try this in the middle of this song. And I did like some weird drum fill, and the music guy was like, oh, I like that. And then I was like, okay. And he just spurred me on some more. So I'm just over there just playing all kinds of stuff. And it wasn't until like the next day I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to do this on Sunday. I think I may have just dug a hole I can't dig myself out of because, I was just back there just a playing. But somehow I did it. So.
Dang. You were just... But you weren't even bebopping. You were just getting it.
Dude, today, like, I had a weird moment when I was playing today. Like, I don't know what type of weird brain chemical dumped in my brain, but, like, I just forgot everything that I was doing and started having, like, a weird crisis in the middle of playing. Because I was sitting there playing, and I was just like, do-do-do. I was playing, and I was focused, and I was listening, and then all of a sudden I was like, what song am I playing? What song's next? Do I even really know how to play the drums? As I'm sitting there just tapping away going, man, if I stop playing, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to pick this back up. I just need to keep playing and just hope that everything goes okay. I mean, it was weird. It's like, I don't know. It was a weird sensation. And then I just kept it up and I got it, like we made it through the set fine, but it was a very kind of a weird sensation. I got done. I was like, okay, cool. I made it. And then I guess I just had to
who am I?
Yeah. And
What's
I guess I just kind of had to like get it out of my system because at the end of the second service, as we're playing, as people are leaving, usually that's the time when I'm just like, all right, cool, get the heavy sticks out, and it's time to let loose a little bit. Man, I was doing all kinds of wild stuff, man, and I was not even sweating it a bit. I was just like, okay, cool. I guess, I don't know. I just had to like shake my head hard enough to like make everything fall in place, but and I did, and it worked great. But yeah, it was a weird sensation. So, all right,
it happens. I feel
say
you.
all that.
I do that every now and then.
So how's your week been?
It's been. I don't even know what I did this week besides groom dogs. Oh, I did do something fun, but I guess I'll save that for later. That's my little what made me happy this week. But
okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm just like in a loop of just you work, you come home, you hang out with some dogs, and we do it all over the next day.
Dude,
how about you?
Dude, that's the truth. Kelly went out of town on Thursday, and my dogs were at her house. So I would get off of work, go to her house, pick up the dogs, come back. The dogs would spend the night with me, and then in the morning I'd run them back to her house, so they'd stay there throughout the day. And,
is it because your fence is still down?
Right, but the fence got fixed on Saturday.
Hey.
So that was cool, and it was really good having my dogs back in the house, especially in the evenings, like before the fence got there. It was great just having them back around the house, just running around, and I miss my puppy so much, and now they're here for good, and I'm super happy. That makes me feel awesome.
Nice.
Sasha's just being just a big old goober face. She was so glad to be back that she ate a sock and promptly threw up all of her food. So
Hey, atta girl. She knows what she's about.
Yeah, she apparently ate 2 socks and a hair tie and then tried to eat a whole bunch of food. And Alice was out of town too with some school thing. So I was talking to her. It was about 10 o'clock at night. I get off the phone with her. I'm like, man, today's been an awesome day. And then I go in there to check on the dogs one last time at the living room. And there's Sasha going, bleh. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Wonderful. I don't even remember you eating food today. And apparently you have just yacked all over my damn carpet. And then the next morning she did it again. And this time there were 2 socks and a hair tie in there. And I'm like, oh, that's why. Awesome. Well,
so yummy. So grateful for you, my darling dog.
Stupid
that
dog.
I provide all this stuff for you, for you to eat a sock and a random hair tie.
Right.
Man, I love dogs. They're so dumb.
So, let's see. So yeah, the fence, yeah, it's just been, I'm very much like you. I feel like I just go to work, I come home, and then I sleep, and then I do it all again. It's, yeah, caught in the vicious loop.
So lame. I'm gonna jazz it up somehow. I'm gonna figure something out.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Maybe I'll start just street racing. You know. All this Fast and Furious really got me going at it. I'm like, hey, I could do that. I could wreck my car.
I will say, after watching this week's movie, I had a little twitch be like, man, I should just go get me like Subaru or something and just trick that thing out and show up to work like sideways screaming through the parking lot.
Chris got a new car.
Oh, what?
On Friday. Yeah, he's part of the Hyundai gang.
Oh,
with
word?
Me. Yeah. Got him a 2022 Sonata. It's a hybrid. It's really nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, compared to his piece of trash CRV where the back door wouldn't stay shut, so we had to get a bunch of tie downs, wrap it around the outside of his car that went to the back 2 doors to like hold it together after his
what?
Yeah, it was looking real rough. After his oh shoot, what was the thing? I can't his catalytic converter got stolen a few years ago. And so when it got put back, when we got him a new one and it got put back together, apparently whoever welded it together did it terribly, and that was just an issue in itself. The inside of his car, all of his like electrical stuff was starting to like really mess up. Like you couldn't plug in a thing to charge your phone. Most of his lights on the inside didn't work. His headlights would constantly like die somehow. He would literally change them out every 3 or 4 months, it felt like.
Wow.
So yeah, new car.
Well, good. I'm so happy.
It's pretty nice. We took it to Chattanooga this weekend to go hang out with some friends, and it rides nice.
Y'all probably went there and back on like a single tank of gas too, didn't you?
Dude, like half a tank.
Yeah.
And we like drove around too.
I do miss that. And I really hope that someday someone makes a pickup truck hybrid that isn't solely focused on towing boats.
Yeah.
Because like I love my Tacoma. I love it. I wish it got better gas mileage, but all in all, it is a fantastic truck. And it's not even like a super big, like, you know, big Mayan Tacoma. It's just a regular old Tacoma. And and I hear rumors that they're gonna make a hybrid Tacoma. And I'm like, all right, that's awesome. Surely we'll get like 50 miles to the gallon. No, it's like 35, which is still nothing to sneeze at for a truck. But I'm thinking to myself, like, do the same thing you do with the Priuses. Like, I don't need it to haul a boat. Every once in a while, I might put some 2x4s in the back, you know, like,
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
I don't need it to be this big powerhouse. If it needs to be a big powerhouse, then go get like the full gas engine. You know, I want something that is functional.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like more trucks should have that, but, you know, you gotta be a pavement princess, or you gotta just get like a rundown piece of junk that you're like, yeah, I just put dirt in the back of it. That's all we use it for, is just hauling dirt.
Listen, it is not escaped my mind to get me just to sell my truck and get me a hybrid car and a absolute just beat 'em up, you know, like piece of crap
Yeah.
Tacoma from the 80s and just run that thing into the ground. One of the absolute best vehicles I ever had was one of my first ones. It was an 89 Nissan pickup truck. I think that was the second car I ever owned. And that thing was indestructible. I only had one problem with it the 4 years I owned it before I went to England, and that was the transmission went out. And I figured out on the fly how to replace a transmission, and at least in that car. And that was the only problem I had with that vehicle. I loved it. And I would love to have
Nice.
another one.
Hey, you can find anything on the internet nowadays.
I
You can
can.
find you probably that exact same little one.
I probably can. And it was so funny because it had a lift kit on it, so it looked like it was this 4-wheel drive monster. No, it wasn't. It was just regular 2-wheel drive that someone put a lift kit on and slightly bigger tires. And I was just like, awesome. This is great. And man, like I said, I had cool speakers in the back of it too. Oh man, shut up with that. It was great. Oh man. Let's get into this, man. I'm ready. All this car talking, man. Let's talk about our movie this week. You ready?
We gonna drift on into it.
Yeah, we are. Screaming inside with So
That was my attempt. Sorry.
all right, Raven. First time continuing our series of Fast and Furious movies. This is the third entry into this wonderful franchise. Your first time watching Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Raven, what did you think of this movie?
People shouldn't be hating on this movie as much as they do. I said it. I'm sorry to those that are probably offended, but I know that the next coming movies are all just insane stuff that shouldn't be happening in movies for cars and driving fast. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good time. I like seeing all these little souped up cars drifting around. I want to learn how to drift. I need my own Han to teach me how to drift and just be like, here's a car. If you crash it, it is what it is. I got more. That's what I need right now. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I don't know if it's just because I was like, ooh, they're going to play the song. So I heard the song twice. And you know, I love that song. I don't care what people think. I know Chris gets annoyed with it, but I really love it. Mark, what did you think of this movie?
This is actually only the second time I've seen this movie all the way through.
Nice.
And probably the first time in 15 years that I've seen it. You know what? I kind of enjoyed it. It was, I will say, and this has kind of been going on through like these first three movies, the fact that the stunts, the drivers are doing like actual driving, you know, not to say that we're not doing actual driving in the later movies, but, you know, they're not CGIing these cars drifting through parking lots.
Right.
And that was actually really, really cool. The kind of thing that I didn't kind of like, that we're going to kind of break down a little bit, is really like all the American characters. I was like,
That's
man,
fair.
this
Yeah.
movie should have just strictly been about Han, and it would have been so much better. But all the racing and the drifting and stuff like that was fantastic. I really enjoyed just sitting back watching that. Plus, the Tokyo Drift song is an absolute banger. Yeah, it's great.
Agreed.
So
let's get into the beginning of this movie,
Let's
where
do-
we start off
let's do.
in a high school where this not 18 years old yet 30-year-old looking man with a 5 o'clock shadow almost every time you see him at night is just like, let's do it. We're out here to race. I'm a country boy. I don't know if they said where he is from. He probably sounds like he's from like Georgia.
Well,
to most people.
his screen name
Country
was
Boy.
Bama Boy.
Was it Bama Boy?
Yeah, it was Bama
Okay.
Boy. So he's from Alabama.
I thought I read it as country boy. Okay. Noted. And I guess that can also make sense.
So
But,
so at the time of filming, he
wild.
was 24 years old.
Looks older.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. But like, let's think about this. They go into this school. They're getting, I don't know if like a lot of schools did this, because if they were like massive schools and they're like, because this movie was in 2006, so I guess at this point they are kind of worried about like gun violence and stuff like that, especially after like 9/11 and whatnot. So they do like the full body scans and like the little, you walk under the little detection thing. Wild in itself to see that, because I'm like, do they actually do this in schools? I have no idea. I went to a little tiny Christian school that my graduating class was like 40 people. But we get to the point where it like, you know, homie throws a baseball through Sean's car and it's just like, haha, don't talk to my girl. And then she's like, winner gets me. Ma'am, what do you mean, winner gets you? You are also a child. You're
Ish.
like getting ready to go to prom and you're just trying to figure out who's going to be your prom date between these two crazies.
I wrote in my notes, old girl just basically said that she's a hoe in front of everybody.
Right?
And just like kind of openly admitted it. She's like, whoever wins this race can have me. What? I'm sorry. And before we move on, I want to say one thing about this school. I absolutely love the American depiction of high schools. I've never, ever in my entire life seen a high school set up like the one in any movie. That maybe I saw one when I was in Texas, and I drove past one that had like 4 football fields and a stadium the size of an NFL stadium, and that campus was huge. Maybe, just maybe, they have like that kind of environment that they show in movies, but high school depiction in American movies is always like just this wild thing where
True.
just cheerleaders are just like cheerleading in the back of pickup trucks in the parking lot. I'm like, what are you doing? No one does that.
Shoot, I don't know, man. Maybe they do. Maybe you're just like, that was, after my time, and I just went to that tiny school, so maybe girls are just being like, what's up? We're just cheering in the parking lot
I mean,
for no reason.
I mean, my school was a little bit bigger, but I went to school before metal detectors. Well, let me say that. Before metal detectors became commonplace, because I was like pre-Columbine, and pre 9/11 and that kind of thing. There were schools in this area and other schools in various other places I've heard about that did have, metal detectors.
Damn.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, I guess it was kind of the environment, but it definitely wasn't as commonplace when I went to school as it is now. Now it's just, the kids don't even trip about it, which is weird to me. Anyway, so old girl's like, yes, you can race for my love. And they get into a race with Zachary Ty Bryant from Home Improvement. I don't even know if you were alive when Home Improvement was on TV or not.
Oh, that's why he looked familiar.
Yes.
Okay. No, I loved watching Home Improvement. That would come on like every night, and I'd just be like, "What's up? This is all I watch now. Thank you." Nice.
Yeah, this kid, he hasn't really done much since Home Improvement. He's done a few things, but it's wild to see that he got second billing in this movie, maybe third underneath Bow Wow, and he's literally in this movie for about 5 minutes.
Right?
And we never see from him again. This dude, he doesn't show back up in any of the later movies, nothing. Like, we never see him, which is weird, man. His entertainment lawyer must have just done a hell of a job. Like, no, you will put him as second billing. Do you know who you have?
This is my main man.
Right.
He was Tim the Toolman Sailor's son.
Yes. And I really liked this first race too.
It was pretty good.
I
yeah.
really enjoyed it. It felt like the first Fast and Furious movie without all the flash. We didn't have like nitrous. We didn't have all this other stuff. This is the problem I'm going to have with the rest of the movies from here on out, is where we end up in these locations and I'm like, come on, how did we end up here? Really? We're in a construction zone? I just got to shut my brain off. I cannot do that because I'm just going to make myself mad that we are, in 2 movies we're in the jungle. And I'm like, how do we get the jungle? No one cares. But no, we end up in a construction zone and these kids are just drag racing through here and no one's like,
hey, should we be doing this?
Right.
Are we going to get in trouble? No. Yeah, no, that was definitely a fun race. Once again, Homegirl was like, I thought you loved me, when, Clay thought he was going to get beat at one point. And then he starts going crazy. They start doing the little crunch, crunch, crunch together, screwing each other's cars up. And so then when both of the cars get like super wrecked, I don't know if you noticed it, but as Sean's car is doing like the flip upside down, a freaking Tabasco sauce.
I saw that.
Good advertisement. Was just like, hey, buy Tabasco while you watch this. Thank you. That was wild. I loved it. It was so dumb.
It was very dumb. Again, this was very much, it was such a good kind of clean, simple, just action-y car race scene without like a whole bunch of CG, and the effects were good. And this was, gave me kind of a little bit of hope for the rest of the movie. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at who directed it, it all makes sense now. Remember the name Justin Lin in the Fast and Furious franchise. This man goes on to direct like a lot of these movies from here on out. And it kind of makes sense after watching this, because shortly after that, we have this weird interaction with some caseworker who we never talk about, and Sean's mom. That was weird. Very weird to me. And then the next thing we know, we're in Tokyo. We get absolutely no setup for this. We're just in Tokyo with Sean's dad.
You're on the next plane to Tokyo, mister.
Right.
Not a go to your room. It's we're packing you up and shipping you off
Right.
later.
And
I mean, I would if I had been a little screw up kid and it was like, if you don't stop, we're gonna send you to Tokyo. Hey, look. I would have been like, all right, I'll go to Tokyo. That
Right.
sounds fun.
right. And apparently a place where there's already some sort of American influence. Like, because you have
Yeah.
Bow Wow and you have that other girl, and you have like clearly American or strictly English speaking people are not completely out of the norm there, you know? So, yeah. And I just want to say this because we don't kind of get to this until a little bit later in the movie, and it's not overtly pointed out. I only know this because I was in the military, that we see Sean's dad, and it's like, okay, cool. Like, you were in the military. Like, that's your whole gig. Like, he's wearing a Navy shirt or something. I'm like, okay, cool. You're just an expat who just decided to stay in Japan. Rock and roll. Like, I got it. Makes sense. Tons of Americans do that. And then later on, he shows up to his house in uniform. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, he's active duty. Hold on. This man is a, hold on, I want to make sure I get this right. He's a high ranking officer in the Navy.
Oh,
So for him to be like, oh yes, I'm gonna stay in this in this little house in the middle of Tokyo. No, that's absolutely not gonna fly at all. Yeah. Oh man. Okay.
Okay.
So he is a. Okay. Nope. I was wrong. Well, he's not a high ranking officer, but he is an officer. He's an O3. He's a lieutenant in the Navy, a captain in every other branch of the military. But he would absolutely not be staying in that little teeny tiny apartment. You know, he would have like a bigger apartment where he could, you know, kind of stretch. I guess maybe because he's renting the spot across the street for his garage in the middle of Tokyo. I'm like, all right, yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense a little bit. But,
okay.
you know, so yeah.
Interesting.
Where are we at? Oh, we get introduced to Bow Wow. First day. Bow Wow.
Twinkie.
And he is immediately trying to bootleg stuff to Sean.
Dude, I love that. That he was just pulling everything out that he possibly could. You like Michael Jordan's? Shaq can't even get these in America right now.
Yeah. And then he sees the steering wheel, and we are off to the proverbial races. What do you think? What did you think of Bow Wow's Hulk car with the fist and stuff coming out of it?
Man, that thing was wild. That is not what I was expecting for Bow Wow to be driving. But when I saw it, I was like, okay. That's so funny. But also, they're just going to be like, look at this American. Also, the fact that it had like a version of hair was really
That was pretty cool.
interesting because it just looks like the bottom of like brooms. So that was fun.
I really dug it. I
drive it.
I really liked that. Oh man. In a world of drag racing cars from the first movie, and then just kind of like, I don't know, street racing cars from the second movie. I don't know. These cars felt infinitely cooler to me.
Yeah.
You know, and not all of them were done up like Bow Wow's car, but they all just seemed really cool, especially when we get to the garage where we get to hear our cool Tokyo Drift song for the first time, by the way.
You know it.
As soon as that song came on, I immediately thought of you. But when the main character, when Sean starts talking to, what's her name? Neela?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is kind of the point in the movie where I was like, I don't really like Sean as a character. I don't really like him too much.
It's like he wanted to try and be Paul Walker's character.
Yes.
Almost. Like he was trying to vibe himself off of that.
Yeah. And he just didn't really seem like Sean reminds me of that kind of guy who gets in trouble and doesn't learn from his mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because his mom just takes him from place to place because she's like, well, I guess we're on the move again.
Right. And
but I get you.
And throughout the movie, he keeps getting into bigger and bigger and bigger trouble because it's just like, dude, stop. Just stop. And I even put this in my notes. Like, I think it's right after this scene where he goes home and his dad's like, "You've been racing,
Have you been racing, Sean?"
And it's meant to be like, oh, dad's a hard ass and dad's corny and whatever. But his dad is right. His dad is 100, as a parent now, his dad is 100% right. Like, you don't understand. This is your last chance. I'm giving you a last chance with minimal supervision right now. Just keep your nose clean, dude, please. Like, you just have to tough it out for like another year and then you'll be grown and you'll be out of everyone's hair. Just please stop, man. Just shut up.
Mr. Juvie, what do you want?
Right. And he's just like, well, you know, I live my life a quarter mile at a time, Roll Tide. That's all he's saying. And it's just like, what are you doing, dude? So,
man, kids don't know. They don't get it.
They don't. But I cannot, for the life of me, figure out why Han decided he was going to adopt this white boy and give him the keys to his car. And they explain it later in the movie. I still don't understand it.
Yeah. What do you think about DK?
I love DK.
I want to know how old he is because he's like trying to date this little high school girl, but he's also like, my family took her in. So,
right.
Why are you going? And at some point, someone especially like is like, why are you always going after them like underage girls? Something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know what DK stands for?
What? Donkey Kong?
Drift King.
Oh, man. Yeah, this could have been played so much. And Han, I love Han. Han is such a great character. Han was so much fun, and I felt like this movie should have been like solely focused around him. Would have made this movie a lot more enjoyable. And even if they would have played it more like I don't know. I say drama for the lack of better words. It's not like this did not have its dramatic moments, but I think if they just would have made this a Han story, it would have been way more fun if it would have been played as like more of a dramatic movie talking about, you know, how Han is trying to get money and get into the game and do all this other stuff and how he's tricking DK and his uncle and all of this. And yeah. And instead we got Bama Boy trying to hit on this girl who is clearly trouble. Clearly.
Also, Han was just snacking the whole time. There was not like a moment that you saw him that he wasn't just like.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. And I also can't figure out why in the world Bow Wow's in this movie. Like,
you know.
He shows up for a little bit but not enough for him to be like, oh yeah, cool, Bow Wow's in this movie. He should have, I guess maybe because like Ludacris wouldn't have fit, but then we're like, who's another rapper we can get? Bow Wow.
Yeah, but Bow Wow was also like younger, so then it was like, oh yeah, he's also an army brat, so we can just throw the two of them together. Something like that.
Yeah.
Also, how are you going to get Ludacris over in Tokyo and be like, we'll make this work somehow?
You know, from the guy who was literally like running street races and jet ski races in Miami.
Yeah, because he's got the goods there. He knows what's up. Why would he leave?
It wouldn't even been that far of a stretch for him to show up and be like, hey man, you know, I got some contacts. Like, oh, Devin Aoki, Kimiko, was that her name in Too Fast, Too Furious? Why is she not in this movie? Why do we not have continuity with her character? She could have brought Ludacris over, and boom, we could have had continuity between 2 and 3, and here we are. Ludacris, we bring in Ludacris, get rid of Bow Wow, and then we got people we love and enjoy. We could have made it Han and Devin's character. I want to say it's Kimiko. But yeah.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been so much more fun. So.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting to watch as Han's just like, don't leave town. And he just like keeps picking up this high school kid, this white kid that he's just like, all right, you can drive. Let's go. It's like, you don't know this kid. This kid literally just wrecked one of your cars so bad. And you're just like, yeah, you can drive again.
I want to know.
Go get me my money.
I want to know why in the world Sean just straight up forgot to drive. Like, I get it, you can't drift. Like, I get that part. But when he's going up that little circular ramp to get up to the roof, he is hitting everything. And I'm like, sir, you just have to drive at this point. You don't have to drift. Just drive.
Yeah, Chris and I were like, why aren't you just like going straight, dude? At that point, maybe he was like, I can figure it out. If he can do it, I can do it. What makes that guy any better than me? You know? Stupid kid mentality.
I guess.
Keeping it.
And like you said, right after that, he's like, oh yeah, cool, here's a car. You like this car? Cool, it's yours. I'm like, whoa, hold on, sir.
Also, when one of DK's boys just like shows up and starts beating up on Bow Wow's character,
man, we must have we got to have telepathy, because I didn't know when we were going to talk about this, but I was looking at that line in my notes right now, trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about.
On top of the roof, some of those little kids were like, Sean, like those kids looked like they had never talked to Sean, but they were just like, Sean, look. Sean goes up there, tries to like defend his boy, gives him a new iPod, and then everyone's pissed at Sean because they're like, man, now it looks like I got to give everyone like fixes for the next time that their stuff breaks, and everyone looks so disgusted with Sean.
Right. That's literally what I put in my notes. I put Bow Wow's ungrateful ass.
That was, man.
There's so many background characters that I guess they're part of Han's crew that we see, and we're just like, we don't see, they don't have any lines. They're just there. But
or if they do, it's like the bare minimum, and then it's like the inaudible of them like talking to each other while they're like fixing cars or something.
Right.
But nothing more.
And in the scene where DK shows up and just whoops the shit out of Sean, like beats him up in that on the docks, And that one little Japanese girl comes running up to him and like, oh no, Sean, I hope you're okay. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, why are you getting beat up over this other girl when this girl right here clearly has a thing for you? Like, she's there for you, homie. Like, you may need to look right next to you and appreciate what you got, dude.
Right? I don't remember if it was Twinkie or Han that was like, why don't you just go look for another one of these Japanese girl like every other white boy does when they come here?
Right.
I was just like, man. Homegirl wouldn't let Sean go and just kept being like, you want to go like hang out? Why have I never seen you drift? You've never asked. And then the next thing you see is like 8 cars back to back drifting down that mountain, which was just like
that was such a dumb scene.
insane to watch, because I was just like, look, I get it. I get that you guys understand how to do it. But at some point, if any of these little girls just like takes their eyes off for like just a second, because one of them is bound to have ADHD, let's be real. You just get distracted. One of you is going off the curb and could take everyone else with you. You were too close. It stressed me out to watch that scene. I mean, it looked cool because I was just like, okay. But then thinking it's high school girls doing it was wild.
That scene with all the high school girls, that scene was so corny to me because you could clearly tell that scene was dubbed over, where she's like, it might as well have been that I lived my life a quarter mile at the time. She's like, oh yeah, I was racing and this, and he's like, it was like there was nothing else, no past, no future. Like, shut up. We're not here for this. Like, come on. And then we start getting the cool like learning to drift montage with Han and Sean, and I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty cool. I like that Sean learns and then now is clearly the absolute best drifter alive because he did a montage.
Of course. That's how you know that you're good. You
Yes.
do a montage of it.
And again, I put this in my notes like 3 or 4 times. The actual like guys who are driving these cars, drifting around and everything, are just fantastic. So good. Clearly skilled in their craft. I mean, it's really awesome to watch.
I want to learn so bad.
Yeah, I do too.
Man.
We need to find some place where they can teach us how to drift.
Catch me out there.
When the mobsters, after Sonny Chiba showed, the legendary Sonny Chiba shows up as Uncle Kamada, I think his name is. He shows
Sounds
up
right.
and he's like, yo, I can tell that your boy is skimming the books. How can you not tell your boy's skimming the books? And he's
Idiot.
you idiot. You big old dum-dum head. He's like, Uncle, I'm so sorry. And then he goes to shut down Han's shop, and we get this fantastic chase scene through all of Tokyo. But there's one thing I can't figure out. Why are we drifting so much in a straight line? Sean and Han absolutely would have got away if they just would have stopped drifting and just drove.
Dude, Sean learned how to drift. Where else is he going to do it? He's got to keep learning. That's what Han was trying to get him to do. Let's just keep learning.
Let's just keep learning. He's got to just rack up those experience points before he levels up.
Mid-chase.
Yeah.
Hey, what'd I teach you, boy?
Now,
Yeah, no, but them, like, drifting through traffic, I was like, yo, that's really cool. But then Sean does the, like, huge drift through that entire crowd of people, and they all, like, perfectly move out of the way.
that crossing, I've been to that
was
crossing.
so funny.
That is Shibuya Crossing in Tokyo, and that is the absolute most populous part of that entire city. It is so busy there at all times of the day. it is notoriously famous as like, oh, look at this busy crosswalk here in Japan. There's absolutely no way that they would have seen a car coming and been like, yes, let's everyone get out of the way. Again, this all gets back into that whole logic argument where I'm like, that could logistically never happen. I just got to shut my brain off. Got to shut my brain off. But that scene was pretty fucking cool. And then tragedy strikes.
Man, broke my heart. My achy breaky heart goes out to my main man, Han.
Oh man,
that was sad because he was like still alive. His car's flipped over. Sean's running over there, and then it explodes. And I was like, oof. No, they ain't have to do him like that.
I feel like the only thing that would have made that scene better is if if Han upside down right before the thing blew up, it felt like there would have been like a pork rind or something, like a little chip on the roof, and he just reaches down. He's like, ah, and like as he's like putting the chip in his mouth, that's when the car blows up.
Dude.
But yeah, that sucks, man. Like Han was such a good character. I hated that he died.
Yeah.
So, and then everyone leaves, and they just leave their cars there. They do that. They do this kind of shit a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
In all of the Fast and Furious movies, where it's like, oh, cool, we just caused some damage, and now we're just going to leave our cars here. Bikes, whatever, we don't care. People, just a trail of destruction.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. As they like walk off.
Yes.
With the cars like exploding in the background, and they're just like, whatever. But then we get to the point where like DK shows up, and Sean and what was her name?
Neela?
Yes. They're at Sean's house. He's like banging on the door, and then DK's like, what's up? Gun in your face. And then Sean's dad is like, me as well, sir. Get out of here. But the whole time, DK is like pointing the gun at Sean as he gets into his car. Like, Sean's dad isn't ready to just pull it at any moment. That kind of cracked me up because, like, DK was like, I can't back down. I'm super cool. My uncle's part of the Japanese mafia. Like, watch out. You don't know me, mister. I'm coming for you.
That was I was just gonna say that is a very cool scene, and again I have to say his dad is absolutely in the right. Like, and did you notice during the scene in particular when like Sean and his dad are outside of his dad's house, the lighting seemed like really off. Like this was like some second unit filming. Like, oh, we got to get this coverage. We got to bring everybody back for reshoots because we need like an extra 3 minutes worth of film.
Interesting.
It just really seemed off to me. Like we had to shoot it in a backlot somewhere. This is clearly not Tokyo. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It was weird.
I wasn't really paying attention to that. Because like I was just like cracking up the whole time at DK just being like, I got my gun on you. I'm watching you.
And okay, so after this, Sean decides that he is going to, or Bow Wow's going to give him some money that Han gave him. I don't know. This is really weird, convoluted.
I think Han would want you to have this. You mean the stolen money?
Right.
Sure, I'll take it to DK's uncle. And then when he gets there, and there's all those like mobs and thugs that are just like,
dude,
who is this white boy? It looks like at any moment they could start doing the snap thing right behind Sean, and they're gonna do the like breakout dance with it.
You are. I wrote in my notes. Why are these Japanese gangsters cartoon characters? There's a dude who's just standing there, just slinging a chain around, and they all got the bouffant hair, like Elvis Presley and stuff. Like, what are we doing?
That scene killed me. I I was like almost in tears from it because I was just like, what is this?
They look like
What
they
is this
belong in
that
the
we
movie
decided?
Kung Fu Hustle.
Man.
And Sean gives his speech to the uncle, and while his accent was funny to me before, as he's given this speech, I am laughing hysterically because he's just talking in this damn Alabama accent to this Japanese gangster. Like, I don't know if I can make it right, but I just say we race on it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about, Sean? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't even know. And then we take a Nissan or we take this Mustang and put a Nissan engine in it so it can drift. So we have this muscle car that can drift now.
Pretty sick.
I don't know enough about cars to know if I should be mad or not. I'm gonna go to work.
I just like the fact that his dad was like, yeah, I'm gonna just let you have this, I guess.
Right. I'm gonna go to work tomorrow and ask all my car friends at work and be like, should I be mad about this? And then next week I'll come and give you guys an update of rage.
Perfect. Love that. It was fun to actually watch them be like, okay, so we're gonna drift. They do the little drift. Stop. Okay, this is where it's leaking from. I was like, okay, I can get behind all of it because they don't have all this American. We use our laptops to figure out where everything is with our super cool graphics.
You know what? I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that was actually kind of a nice little detail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I love how they have like an indeterminate amount of time to get everything ready.
Right? Like, how long did you have to work and put this car back together? Because not only did you put the car together, you had time to paint it,
Yes,
to get it all like smooth and good looking, find you some really good tires, all this stuff. Whereas I thought it was just going to be like, hey, we race tomorrow.
That's what I thought.
What do I know? But then when we get to the point where it's like, okay, he's done his little time drifting down the mountain. Now we're going to actually do it. And he's standing up there looking all cool, Mustang in the background with him just like in front of it. I don't know. That shot was kind of cracking me up. And everyone is like standing there with their flip phones.
Yes.
How did that work? How is everyone watching it from their flip phones? Because when I had a flip phone, that was the trashiest phone ever.
Like, you mean that like 240 video that you were shooting on there? Wasn't good?
And they were just like, okay, we can all watch the race simultaneously from our flip phones as one big unit. It's like they were FaceTiming on it, and it wasn't the worst picture you've ever seen in your life.
You're thinking logically.
They've got too good of flip phones out there, apparently. We just had them American flip phones.
I will say that besides that, I didn't write down any notes about this race. I enjoyed this race. I was locked in at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. Like, the tension's high. The action is there. Is someone going to go off the edge of the mountain? I don't know, but we're going to see. And they're drifting and everyone's, I was in it, man. I was into it. And when DK went off the edge of the cliff, I was like, holy shit, this is wild. And then just like long enough for Sean to like come around the corner and almost get hit with DK, with DK's car. The only note I have is at the very end where Bow Wow and like all of Sean's friends are cheering because DK fell off the side of a mountain. I'm like, y'all are cheering this man's, like, he could be dead and you guys are over here high-fiving each other. Like,
right?
Like, and his gangster uncle is 10 feet away from you. Like, shut up. Like, this dude is clearly...
Like, I feel like everyone should have been like, oh, I mean, way to go, Sean. But, like, I don't want to get targeted by the mafia, the Japanese mafia. Those guys are scary. But then he gets the girl. All the homies are cool. We go back and we just, like, do our thing.
The music
We're
drops.
drifting again.
The Tokyo Drift music drops. And then we're back in the parking lot. Boom, 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 boom.
And then, hey, you want to race tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Someone says that they know Han.
That's right. That's right. And who
Said
knows?
he's like family.
So he was what? Han was what? Say it louder for the people in the back. Han was a what?
Chris was like, oh my God, it's the start of it. Family.
All caps.
The fact that
All
was
caps
the
in my
end
notes.
of it.
Han was what?
The very last scene is where it all begins. Man,
So
Vin
what?
Diesel really just showed up and was just like, this is my fame right here. This one line. Said Han was family.
So, what'd you think when Vin Diesel showed up out of nowhere?
Why? Why is he here? I mean, I guess he had to get, out of the country technically when the whole thing in the first movie happened, but like, that's wild. Is this movie supposed to be taking part while the second movie's going on? What is the logistics of why Vin Diesel is just like, what's up? I'm here to race some high school kid.
Oh, I know why.
Because I heard you at Drift King. Okay, I'm sure somehow
here's
it all works out.
Here's the thing. Here's what's so special about that Vin Diesel cameo.
Okay.
I think this was also the point. Let me check real quick. See if he was listed as a producer on this movie. He was not.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I think this is the last time that he is not listed as a producer. But the interesting note about Vin Diesel showing up in Tokyo Drift was they wanted him and they were like, okay, cool. We want to get you for this cameo and whatever. And Vin Diesel said, cool, I'll do it. But I want you to give me the rights to Riddick. So that movie that he did back in the early 2000s, Chronicles of Riddick, and all of the other movies that he's done involving Riddick that he's been a part of, he owns the rights full on to Riddick, and he got them by doing this cameo because Riddick was a dead franchise at this point, and he was like, nope, I want it because I have plans.
Okay.
So the Tokyo Drift cameo was paid in Riddick rights.
Brought to you by Riddick.
Right. And after this, I don't know how he swung it. I don't know what he did. I'm going to have to do a lot of research gearing up for next week, because next week was when we really start getting into the Fast and Furious, quote unquote, of the franchise. So I need to see like why and how Vin Diesel became a producer and like really got this franchise doing what it's currently doing. Because I'm sure there has to be a fantastic story behind it. Because really Tokyo Drift did not get good critical reception. So it's shocking that the franchise rebounded from that when the next movie was just called Fast and Furious. And we're like, wait a second, you just did that one. Like, less than 10 years ago. So is this a reboot? But it's not a reboot. It's kind of like a sequel. We don't really know what's going on. And yeah, so there has to be some kind of good story in there. I'm going to do some digging and find out. But when Vin Diesel showed up in this movie and said Han was family, I was like, this is the greatest moment in cinema. I was all about it. And yeah. And from there, man, we're in the credits. No post-credit scene, no nothing, man. We're credits, we're done. We drifted right out of the theater. Oh,
Man.
So, Raven, do you have any final thoughts on Tokyo Drift?
You know what? I stand by what I said. People should stop hating on it.
I agree.
Other than that, that's all.
I agree. It was a very fun watching it again. I, especially comparatively speaking with the last two movies, I think so far Too Fast, Too Furious might be the one that I kind of disliked the most.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't really know where I stand on which one's better than whatever. I'm just along for the ride. But
I don't know, cuz.
Man, you ain't have to hit me with that.
Oh man, we're at it. All right, man. Let's move on. Let's move on to our next thing. Let's talk about what has made us happy this week. Raven, you teased it earlier. Please tell me what has made you happy this week.
This week, there was a little... So a few weeks back, my aunt sent me a photo of something at some bar that she was like, oh, you might like to do this. And it was a photo of... They were going to have this... It's called the plant trolley is their like little thing. They don't actually have a shop. They just go around and do like little events and stuff to different like bars or like locations and stuff like that. And they did a fun little planter thing. So you could either get like a little cat, a dog, or a unicorn. And you got a bunch of plants. And it was like, here you go. Go make your little self a planter. Also, you can drink while you do it. It's a good time. I went and did it with a friend that I have made here in Knoxville. And it was so fun because we were just having a good time. The ambiance of the place was really cool. Neither of us had ever been there. She's from Knoxville, and she was like, I've never been here, but this is a good time. We should come back here. I was like, cool. But yeah, that was just like a fun little thing that I got to do, so I could actually get out of the house and not just, be in that little routine that I said I had been in. And so now I have a new little plant friend. A cute little yellow cat with some fun little succulents, and I even got a little cowboy hat for one of my succulents. Mark, how about you? What has made you happy this week?
Okay. This is a little bit of a story, so stick with me.
Strap in.
Whoa, was it Wednesday? Thursday morning. Thursday morning, I'm getting the kids ready for school, in the kitchen, making some breakfast, whatever. I come to bring Amy a Pop-Tart, and Amy's sitting on the couch. Alice is sitting in the chair. I give Amy the Pop-Tart. I look over at Alice. I'm like, hey, Alice, where'd you put the butt for? And she goes, what? I say, where did you put the butt for? She's giving me this look. She goes, what is that? And I go, huh? She goes, what's a butt for? And I go, it's for pooping, silly.
Tee-hee.
And I start laughing. And I laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh because it's rare that I get to do like legit dad jokes like that. Where I set it up and it is executed to absolute perfection. I can't remember if I've said this before on the podcast, so I'm going to tell this other story again, that there was a time when Alice was real young. She was singing in the shower, and she was dancing and just having a big old time in the shower, and I hear her fall Like she slipped and fell, and I get up, I run in there. She's like, oh, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? She's like, I fell down and I hurt my bottom. And I'm like, okay, let me see. And she had to have been like 5 or something. And I look around and there's nothing wrong with her. But as she turns around, I'm like, oh, and she turns around with this look on her face like, oh my God. And I turn and I yell out the bathroom door and I'm like, Mommy, Alice has a crack in her butt. And I look back at Alice and she gives me this look of just incredulous. I can't even believe you're my father. You're such a dork. Just this look of just pure confusion and disappointment of just that comes with a dad joke. I cannot believe those words came out of your face. And I laugh and we laugh and it's great. Fast forward 8 years later, all of us are sitting in the living room. We're talking. We're listening to music on the television, on YouTube. Just a good night of wholesome family activity. And I say something and I say, oh, that's their motto. And Amy goes, what's a motto? And I go, nothing. What's a motto with you? Oh, and it's like a set up perfect joke, perfect dad joke. So that's 3 good, perfect dad jokes that I've had in my life. And to tack on more to the but-for story, I was so excited that this worked, I went to work and told this story. And as I'm telling the story, I first told the guys that are in my cube, and one of the guys was looking at me as I'm telling the story, and it is very clear he doesn't know what a but-for is. And as I'm telling the story, he just has this look like. And had I stretched it out a little bit further, he would have said, what's a but for? And I would have been able just to set it up again. But I'm just going to go ahead and call that a win. And throughout the day, I kept getting people. I kept saying what's a but for? And I kept saying it's for pooping. And I'm telling you, I told that story like a good 6 times that day. And I was beside myself just about every time when people didn't get it. I was like, this is the greatest day of my life next to my kids being born. Such fun. Such fun. I was having such a good time. What's a but for? It's for pooping, silly.
Oh, you.
Yes. Raven, why don't you tell people where they can find us on the internet?
If you're looking for this lovely little podcast,
at but4.com.
Yep, that's us. In credits. Our lovely little podcast is called Nerd for No Reason. We hang out on some socials like, Twitter, Instagram, some other stuff, yada yada. You know the gist. I myself like to hang out on Instagram at That's Sir Raven Ellis. Mark? Where are you on the interwebs?
I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at Turtles Do It. Oh, and on Blue Sky at Turtles Do It. Hit me up there. Hit me up everywhere. I am available. Make sure you check the show out everywhere. Just Google us. We are the first 5 things that come up. Nerd for No Reason in Google. That's our YouTube, our everything. It's just go check us out. I'm gonna get to some more YouTube stuff. Been pretty busy with life things, but I promise I got some ideas and we're gonna get there. Thanks for sticking with us for this franchise. It's super fun. I cannot wait for next week because there is a very hard line in the sand when we get to this next movie. And it starts off with just like, okay, this is what we're doing now. I hope you're ready. So just strap in. And I cannot wait to come back next week and talk to you, Raven, about not the Fast and the Furious, just Fast and Furious. Important distinction. Because we're going places now. We are, no pun intended, off to the races.
Hee hee. Noted. All right.
So in the week, everybody, go and do something wonderful in the world.
Guys, go ingest the super coolest, latest medias, and we'll see you again here next week as we continue to race on out. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Amy, take us out.
Thank you for listening to the Nerd for No Reason podcast. I was doing these intermissions. I am named Amy, and you should join us next week on Nerd for No